Breaking news at 11. The Queen City is in the national spotlight as we are just hours away from the start of the Republican National Convention in Charlotte. Now, tonight, there are just handfuls of protesters demonstrating peacefully in Uptown. Much different scene in the clashes between police and demonstrators from Friday and Saturday night. In fact, tonight, protesters brought out a projector to make their point. Good evening to you, and thank you for joining us at 11. I'm Lana Harris. Now let's get out to live to WCNC Charlotte's Lexi Wilson. Lexi, last night the streets looked packed. It seemed a lot more calm tonight. Good evening.
Charlotte, I'm Lexi Wilson. Lana, back to you.
All right, Lexi, thank you. Now, meanwhile, President Trump will be traveling to Charlotte tomorrow for the first day of the RNC. He's expected to arrive just before noon, and hundreds of delegates are already in the Queen City, ready to make him the official nominee. WCNC Charlotte's Hunter Signs has more on the final preparations and what to expect. Now, we heard Hunter mention Franklin Graham there. He is one of many big names who will be speaking at the convention. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, are also headlining the final night, along with, of course, the president himself. Vice President Mike Pence is scheduled to speak Wednesday night. So this leads us to a heads up for drivers. You are going to want to avoid Uptown as much as possible over the next 4 days. In fact, road closures have already started. You can see on this map on your screen, streets surrounding the convention center are going to be blocked off along with the southbound I-277 exit ramp onto South College Street. As for the Lynx Blue Line, all stations will remain open except for the tracks between Carson Station and 7th Street Station. Now, there is a lot of information to digest when it comes to the RNC. So for all the latest coverage, download that WCNC News mobile app. It is free in the App Store. Now, turning to the tropics, Tropical Storm Laura is now heading for Cuba, but look at the devastation it left behind today in the Dominican Republic. Floodwaters were thigh-high, rushing through residential areas as people just tried to rescue what they could from their homes. More than 1,000 people were forced to evacuate, and over 1 million people do not have electricity. A mother and her 7-year-old son are among 3 people who died on the island after a wall reportedly collapsed on their home. Now, Laura is on a collision course with the U.S. Gulf Coast, and that is where Tropical Storm Marco is already swirling. So meteorologist Aisha Scott is tracking the tropics for us. The Gulf Coast is bracing for back-to-back storm hits. Good evening. All right, sounds good, Aisha. Thank you. Turning now to the latest on the coronavirus. North Carolina's average number of cases are starting to creep up again, and there are concerns that, of course, the RNC in Charlotte could make that line trend even higher. So here are the latest numbers. North Carolina added more than 1,400 new cases today, and the positive test rate is stable at around 6%. Hospitalizations are down. Meanwhile, in South Carolina, there were nearly 700 new cases today, and the declines continue across the board for cases, hospitalizations, and positive test rate, which is exactly what we want to see. Now, heading to Washington, President Trump has announced the emergency authorization of convalescent plasma for the treatment of COVID-19. Now, thousands of patients have already received this treatment, and while experts say it may help some patients, it's not really being considered a major breakthrough in the fight against the disease. But NBC's Dan Shinneman reports. Now, still in Washington, news that broke less than an hour ago. Kellyanne Conway is leaving her post at the White House. She served as senior counselor to the president, but Conway released a statement saying that she will be transitioning away from the White House at the end of this month. She says it's because she wants to focus more on her family. Well, turns out starting up a college semester in the middle of a pandemic requires a lot of flexibility. UNC Charlotte has just decided they are going to delay the start of in-person classes. Now, they're still going to begin on September 7th, but they're going to do it virtually. And then in-person instruction is currently set to begin October 1st, barring any major COVID complications. The chancellor said they made the decision based off of their talks with the county health department. Now, other schools in the state are already battling large COVID outbreaks. UNC Chapel Hill, NC State, and East Carolina have all decided to suspend in-person learning because of the COVID cases spreading there. WCNC Charlotte's Kendall Morris has more. Coming up, 3 homicides in 3 days in the Queen City. We've got updates from CMPD on another violent weekend next. Welcome back. We have updates tonight on 3 homicides that have happened over the last 72 hours in Charlotte. We're going to begin with the most recent one, which was a deadly stabbing involving a mother and a son in East Charlotte. CMPD arrested 24-year-old Sal Theroux and charging him with killing his 64-year-old mother, Sal Mu. It happened just after 4 a.m. in the 3300 block of Tyrone Drive. Officers found the victim at the scene, and she did die later on at the hospital. CMPD also made an arrest from a homicide yesterday. That was in the situation where a man was beaten to death. 31-year-old Jonathan Ramsey is charged with killing 35-year-old Billy McKay Jr. That one happened in the 10,000 block of Pintail Place in Northeast Charlotte. Officers found McKay with severe injuries just before 4 yesterday afternoon, and he died shortly after. Finally, 3 people have been arrested in connection to a homicide that happened on Friday. The suspects, Nyla Burnett, Jalen Meggett, and Jamel Williams, are all 3 charged with murder and robbery in the death of 20-year-old Zion Garcia. Garcia was found in the parking lot of a Valero convenience store on Albemarle Road in East Charlotte. Now, while Garcia was found at the store, police say that the shooting happened about 2 miles away on Firelight Lane. Now, heading overseas, more than 100,000 protesters are rallying in the capital city of Belarus, and they are demanding the resignation of the country's president because they say he was reelected this month in a process that was rigged. NBC's Rachel Engel reports from the streets of the capital.
Minsk.
All right, a little closer to home, we are turning to the forecast, and it's a quiet night on the radar tonight after that bit of rain we had earlier. There is going to be a higher chance for thunderstorms, though, over the next 2 days. So meteorologist Aisha Scott has more on what exactly to expect in Charlotte for the start of the RNC. Hey, Aisha.